We know, and I maintain this too, that Donald Trump will be much worse for the people of Palestine, especially for the people of Gaza, than Harris, Biden combined. Now we have another opinion from Colonel Douglas Macgregor, who is actually not agreeing what we believe. Let's take a listen what he's saying. What will happen if Donald Trump gets elected? Take a listen.
Right. And we are a nation of what? 330, 340 million. And we are now hostage to whatever Mr. Netanyahu decides to do. Those are the facts. He's in control. He's been in control from the very beginning. And while he has control, I think he's going to use it because there is no guarantee after the November election that he'll be able to do then what he's doing now.
Wow, isn't it amazing? Isn't it interesting that he's saying that Donald Trump is most likely not going to listen to Netanyahu the way Biden is listening to him? Wow.
I know that a lot of people are saying, well, President Trump will give him whatever he wants. But if I were Mr. Netanyahu, I'm not sure that I would buy that argument.
Wow, this is something big, big, big. Wow.
I think I would probably act now. And that's his best bet of dragging us into something. And again, if you look at this terminal high altitude air defense system and its radar, the roughly 100 American soldiers that are part of this, a lot of people are treating this as some sort of tripwire. Well, the truth is we've already got tripwires. We have those things in Iraq and Syria. And when President Trump was in office, he wanted to get our soldiers out of those places precisely because we could not defend them in the event of a high-end conventional conflict, which is what we're looking at with Iran and Israel. The terminal high-altitude air defense is not necessarily a tripwire, but it does signal that we will probably lose soldiers on the ground in Israel, on Israeli soil, if this fight continues. His hope that will be enough to trigger all-out war between the United States and Iran. But I'm not sure that would necessarily happen.
Yet despite Israel's confidence in its military superiority, Iran's growing arsenal of advanced drones and missiles is becoming a critical factor in the equation. Macgregor.
Okay, so Colonel Macgregor, he's saying that basically what will happen to Netanyahu if Trump gets elected is not going to be the same as if Harris gets elected. I think Netanyahu, to be honest with you, he can count on Harris more than he can count on Donald Trump, even though I believe Trump, as I said, in his own policy, he'll be much worse for the people of Gaza, and he will actually come up with his own opinion, own idea, own decisions, how to treat the people of Gaza, as opposed to Harris, who will be listening to every single thing Netanyahu will command her to listen to. And this is the fact because Kamala Harris isn't considered to be a strong leader. If Netanyahu calls her, just giving you a hypothetical situation, and tells her that, hey, I need these weapons, and if you do not listen to me, you know what I can do. And if that same tone can be used against Trump, I'm just talking about a hypothetical situation, Trump is obviously going to be absolutely mad and furious because his personality is totally different than Harris, Kamala Harris. I'm not saying that Kamala Harris, because she's a woman, she's weak. I'm not saying that. But take a look at her personality. She is cackling all the time. She's laughing. She's coming across as someone who is not really serious or sincere or strong as a woman, as a personality per se, than Donald Trump. So I think that Netanyahu will find it much easier to bully Kamala Harris than to bully Donald Trump. But again, Harris's own policies are not as worse necessarily as Donald Trump's own policy. I'm excluding Netanyahu's influence in this instance. I'm just saying who Trump is, who Harris is when it comes to Gaza. And of course, Donald Trump, I'm not saying because of his strong personality, he will not be influenced by Netanyahu. I'm not saying that. He will be influenced by Netanyahu because the Zionist lobby is very, very strong, much more stronger than Donald Trump. But I find this to be very, very interesting simply because I wasn't expecting it. Let's take a listen more.
With UNIFIL is not there to fight anybody, as we know. This is
well,
a peacekeeping.
It can shoot back when it's shot at.
Of course. And by the way, the incidents that we've seen thus far involving Irish troops that happen to be part of that organization, the Irish soldiers have behaved with commendable restraint. And that's the point I was trying to get to
I
before.
guess that's because Ray McGovern was not their commander.
Yeah, probably. No, listen, you don't want hotheads running the show in CENTCOM. And we certainly don't want a war with Russia and Iran. That's the point. That's why let us assume that some American soldiers are killed. Do we instantly commit the entire United States, all 340 million people, our scientific industrial base and the armed forces, to all-out war? I don't think so. And I think that I'm sure that the CENTCOM commander has received some very specific orders on that score. Professional soldiers, especially their officers, are expected to exercise restraint and control over their emotions. And however angry they may be, they understand the consequences of their actions. And no one wants this war. Mr. Netanyahu does, but we certainly do not.
Here's the president of France responding to what he believes were deliberate targeting by Israeli armed forces on French troops working with UNIFIL. Cut number 2.
It is totally unacceptable for UNIFIL troops to be deliberately targeted by Israeli armed forces. We condemn it. We do not and will not tolerate it happening again.
Before you respond, here's what he said this morning in a full screen. We don't have the tape of it. Mr. Netanyahu must not forget that his country was created by a decision of the United Nations. Therefore, this is not the time to disregard the decisions of the UN. What do you think, Colonel? Is Europe going to get involved in this?
No, I don't think so. The Europeans are not really capable of very much. And I certainly understand the sentiments expressed by Mr. Macron, but he's very unlikely to become involved in a direct confrontation with the Israelis. If anything, he's probably had back channels from us telling him to butt out, which I suspect he will probably do. The Israelis are riding high in the saddle. And by that, I mean the arrogance and the self-confidence that arrogance sometimes breeds is out of control. If you watch Israeli television, when the people are discussing in panel settings what's happening, there is no sense of the casualties that have been taken already in Gaza or in South Lebanon. There is no sense that Israel could lose, none whatsoever. Their news is as carefully predigested and disseminated as our own. So the real question, which is what you began this with, was, will Israel survive it? You and I and others who are looking at this and hopefully looking at it objectively are sensing that it might not.
Iran's drone program.
Okay, so basically he is saying that Israel is on a self-destructive path. Now, the video title was Iran's terrifying weapons put Netanyahu in panic mode. That was the title of this video, and I totally agree with this because we have seen how Netanyahu was shaking when he was holding a piece of paper right after the missile attack, the ballistic missile attack on October the 1st. This is obvious to the whole world that Netanyahu, his government, Israel, they cannot win. They cannot even imagine going to war with Iran. Iranian military ex-IRGC member also made a statement today. He said that we do not even care what Israel is preparing about when it comes to attacking Iran, the retaliatory attack. He said this country, Israel, is just too weak. It's a puny little country, doesn't have the ball to attack us. This is all, whatever they're saying, these are all hyperboles. They are just saber rattling, and that's about it. He said, ex-IRGC, he said, Israel, we do not even care. We don't count them. I mean, this is absolutely true. Israel knows this. The only reason they're still surviving, as I mentioned in my other videos over and over again, is because of the bully U.S., the giant bully of the world, U.S. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.